is my pleasure to introduce Roberto Vally. And Roberto selected this bass out of our collection, I guess, because he thought it suited his needs. So you could see why he selected this bass. And so, Roberto, the first thing you talked about was the ergonomics, the way the bass feels and the way it fits. So please talk about it a little bit.
Well, I find the curve here in the upper bow, extremely attractive, and how I can go from playing with my thumb behind the neck just to transition from here. It's very, very comfortable. Nice sloped shoulders, full lower bout for a smaller bass. It just feels right when I have it in my hands. And whether I'm sitting on a stool or I'm standing up, I raise the end pin up, and all the notes feel like they're in the right place. And
okay, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Do some basses feel like the notes are not in the right places?
Well, I mean,
well, I know.
It could be a D neck, or it could be an E flat neck, or the neck is set too far deep in the body where it's hard to reach these notes. I could just say this bass was very well thought out, well planned, and if I could say how I kind of found this bass was, you had a client testing it. Trying it out, and I asked if I could play it for him so he can assess these two basses.
I remember that afternoon,
yeah.
Yep.
And while I was doing it, I was going from this other bass, whatever. I'm going back and forth, and I'm going, wow, I really like this thing. So that's how I got introduced, to the bass. I wasn't really shopping around for a hybrid or a bass that I could use in different studio or live performances, and maybe a travel bass as well. I just happened to come across and play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it feels good,
and I had to have it. I had to have it.
Yeah. So if the bass feels good, I know that's one step in the right direction, but it has to sound good. And I think that you're primarily a jazz-oriented musician.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about the sound and show us what what works for you?
Okay, I'll just let the bass speak for itself, all right? I'm going to just start out all the way at the bottom.
Wow, that thing snaps. I had never really heard that before.
It's working. It's
well,
working. It's
so,
a lot of fun to play.
Well, that's a good thing to hear.
Yeah.
What you were just playing, sort of gradually working your way up and across and so forth. As I said earlier, you're a guy who has bought and sold quite a few basses.
Oh, yeah.
And is that the kind of thing you do when you're testing the instruments to find maybe weak spots or something like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll check how the bass sounds when you're playing the 10th, and just how those notes sing. And just see how the bass relates to itself. When you're adding two notes like double stops, you're playing two notes, and just playing scales, just going up the neck and just seeing how the bass reacts. For example, if you're going, that's the octave D, and I'm hitting it no problem, you know.
Okay. So the notes sound even, up and down, across.
Yeah.
I guess I feel good about that. I'm glad.
Good job, Jerry. You did good. You did really well.
So and then do me a favor and pick up the
Yes.
bow,
Yes.
because I know, I mean, I've heard you test a lot of basses, and the pizzicato is one important test, and the bow is most certainly another.
Well,
What is it you do when you put the bow on to help you decide if you like a bass?
well, I listen and I feel. You know, I'm listening to the tone, obviously, but tone, like I was thinking about it, it's very subjective. Some people like a dark tone, a bright tone, but when I'm testing out a bass for the bowing, is just how easy it feels under the bow, as far as, you know, how the notes sing out. And mind you, this bass has Spiracore. They're the Vike model, and even with the Spiracores, I find the sound to be very, very pleasant and very open sounding. I mean, all the notes are working.
You know, there's one characteristic of basses that I find very subtle, and I have theories about it, but no really exact formula,
Yeah,
which is responsiveness to the bow. It just seems like some basses, the strings don't want to get going. You have to push hard and work. And other instruments, it seems like you barely touch the bow, and boom, the sound is there.
Yeah, for me, what I was taken back with this bass is that it doesn't have any of that. All the notes really work, and I'm really excited to try this bass with a darker string like a Flexicore or a Bel Canto, because I think for a student, a serious younger student, or a professional that doesn't want to take his prize bass out or whatever, that this bass could definitely work as a classical solo instrument. You listen to this cello-like sound with this bass here, with Spiracores.
So back to that afternoon when you were helping another customer try to evaluate this bass. Did you know it was a travel bass when you first picked it up?
I had no idea. I had no idea. No. I
So-
was just concentrating on letting the gentleman hear the bass and make a decision. And in doing that, I kind of fell in love.
Well, I know you haven't had a chance to, I love that smile, I love that smile. I know that you haven't had a chance to take this bass out on a tour yet, but you're touring. When are you out of town next?
Well, as far as I know, the first time I'm like out of the state, we'll be going up to Seattle for a week engagement with Diane Shore at the Jazz Alley.
Okay.
And I'm definitely I'm going to bring this bass, put her in the box, and get her out. And I probably get this from opening up the case and set up ready to play in probably 10-15 minutes, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. So I guess I'd like to say to the you people listening that this is the Liberty Belle model of bass, and this particular one is a flyaway. So this neck comes off, goes into a box, but the same model of bass is available just glued together solid, and so it could be either way with, I think, the same tonal characteristics. Roberto, thank you very much for stopping by today. I really appreciate it in the middle of your busy schedule. You took the time to come and talk to me and talk to everyone about how the space is working for you. Thanks.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to talk bass with you. And yeah, man, you made a great bass. Great idea, great design. So this is my baby, the Liberty Belle, in its box, in its little cocoon, and I'm getting ready to wheel it on out of here. Thank you. Okay, I gotta go. I got places, people to meet.